लेकिन इस व्यापक संदर्भ में जो एक राष्ट्रीय रास्ता है ढूंढने का, जो एक कर्तव्य है अकाउंटेबिलिटी के रास्ते पे चलकर, उस रास्ते को अपनाइए। चीज़ों को टालने से, किसी तरह से हट जाए, आज बात खत्म हो जाए, कल दूसरी आ जाए, परसों तीसरी आ जाए, ये भारत को आगे ले जाने का रास्ता नहीं है। इसको समझने की कोशिश करिए और जुडिशियल इंक्वायरी को स्वीकार करके इसका प्रमाण दीजिए कि आप भारत की एकता को कायम रखना चाहते हैं।
श्री राजीव शुक्ला।
उपाध्यक्ष महोदय, ये जो चर्चा कश्मीर के मसले पर शुरू हुई है, ख़ासतौर से अमरनाथ जा रहे यात्रियों पे हमले के बाद, अपने आप में बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। लेकिन ये एक इतना संवेदनशील मसला है जैसे तलवार की धार पे चलना। हमारा दोनों पक्षों से आग्रह है कि जब इस विषय पर कोई बहस हो रही या बात हो रही सदन में, तो इतना शाइस्तगी के साथ और इस तरह कोई कमेंट, टिप्पणी, बात होनी चाहिए कि उसका असर वहाँ न पड़े, क्योंकि इसके इंटरनेशनल रेमिफिकेशंस हैं। आज जो हालत है, जिस तरह से बातचीत जिस दौर में चल रही है या जिसकी शुरुआत हुई है, उस बातचीत को सबोटाज करने के लिए ताकतें लगी हुई हैं। शांति स्थापित ना हो कश्मीर में, इसके लिए तमाम फोर्सेस सक्रिय हैं। पाकिस्तान तो एक है, और भी तमाम ताकतें हैं। लेकिन जो माहौल बना है उसमें हिजबुल मुजाहिदीन, हुर्रियत कॉन्फ्रेंस, इन दो लोगों के से बातचीत चल रही है। हिजबुल मुजाहिदीन के बारे में सब लोग जानते हैं कि वो कश्मीरी मिलिटेंट्स का ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है। बाकी जितने वहाँ पे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन सक्रिय हैं, उनमें तमाम ऐसे हैं कि जो ख़ासतौर से लश्कर तोबा, जो बिल्कुल इसमें भाड़े के या तो लाए हुए मर्सनरीज हैं या फिर पाकिस्तान से भेजे हुए मिलिटेंट्स हैं। तो बातचीत उन लोगों से हो रही है या उन लोगों से बातचीत चल रही है जो लोग सचमुच घाटी के अंदर, घाटी के लोगों की समस्याओं को लेके या जैसे भी आंदोलन कर रहे हैं, मिलिटेंट है, आतंकवादी, जो भी कहिए, हैं सब कश्मीरी। तो ये एक बहुत डेलिकेट दौर में ये बातचीत है और उस दरमियान ये घटना होती है और उस घटना में जैसा कि लश्कर तोबा का नाम आता है और लोग ये कहते हैं कि उन्होंने खुद दावा किया है और पाकिस्तान इसके पीछे है, सब ये बात मानते हैं। उसमें एक जो सबसे अहम मुद्दा दोनों तरफ से उठा है और उसको लेके अब जितनी बहस हो चुकी है, शंका का वातावरण तो निश्चित रूप से पैदा हो गया है। जो बात उठाई गई, उन्होंने कहा कि सीआरपीएफ के जवानों से या फोर्सेस से ऐसी रिपोर्ट आई है कि उनसे कुछ तीर्थयात्री मारे गए। देखिए, जब क्रॉस फायर होती है या मिलिटेंट्स उनके बीच में चल रही, हो सकता कुछ लोग मारे गए, लेकिन ये बात कोई नहीं मानेगा कि सीआरपीएफ के लोग तीर्थयात्रियों को मार देंगे। अब चूंकि इस पर शंका पैदा हो गई, इसलिए इसका फायदा दूसरे लोग लेना चाहेंगे। तो मेरा ये कहने का मतलब है कि इस विषय को मुद्दा बनाना, कितनी ऑड सर्कमस्टेंसेज में हमारी सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेज वहाँ लड़ रही, किसी को शायद पता नहीं है। अगर उस समय वहाँ पे हो तब पता चलेगा, अंदाजा लगेगा। लेकिन इसको मुद्दा बनाना मेरे ख्याल से ये एक बहुत ही गंभीर बात है, यह नहीं होना चाहिए। साथ साथ मैं सरकार से भी कहूँगा कि जब एक बार शक पैदा हो गया है तो उसका निराकरण भी होना चाहिए। वो भले जुडिशियल इंक्वायरी हो ना, उसमें मैं नहीं पढ़ना चाहता, और न जुडिशियल इंक्वायरी का क्या परिणाम होगा, कितने दिन चलेगी, मैं उसमें पक्ष में नहीं। लेकिन सरकार को इस शंका का भी निराकरण हो जाए और साथ साथ मैं विपक्ष से भी कहूँगा कि वो इस बात को तूल मत दें, क्योंकि इसके बहुत ज़बरदस्त इसके गंभीर परिणाम होंगे। क्योंकि पीटीवी तो भी देखते होंगे, सुबह शाम यही चल रहा है कि साहब सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेज ने मारा है और सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेज, इंडिया ये चाहता है कि ये वार्ता ना हो, बातचीत ना हो, सुलहनामा ना हो, कश्मीर घाटी में कुछ ना हो। काजी हुसैन जो जमात इस्लामी के प्रेसिडेंट हैं पाकिस्तान में, उनका पढ़ लीजिए आप स्टेटमेंट। वो कितने खफा हैं इस बातचीत के शुरू होने से कि आप उसका अंदाज़ा लगा सकते हैं। कम से कम एक बार बात शुरू होने से थोड़ा सा डिमोरलाइज हुए हैं पाकिस्तान के साथ जुड़े संगठन। तो इसलिए इस बात का बड़ा ख्याल रखना है दोनों तरफ से, सत्ता पक्ष और इस तरफ से, कि इसमें पॉलिटिकल कुछ स्कोर करने की बात नहीं कि कुछ पॉलिटिकल पॉइंट्स स्कोर कर लें एक दूसरे के खिलाफ। असली बात यह है कि इतना इस संवेदनशील मसले को तलवार की धार की तरह इस पर चलने की बात है कि ऐसे बात कही जाए, ऐसे कही जाए कि उसका सही मैसेज जाए, सरकार भी शंका का जो है ये निर्मूल साबित करे, और दूसरी तरफ जो है उनको सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस के ऊपर कोई इल्ज़ाम न लगाया जाए जब तक कि कोई बात सामने नहीं आ जाती है। क्योंकि ऐसा भी पता चला है, कल कुछ लोग हमें बता रहे थे कि अब तो पुलिस वर्दी में आ रहे हैं और पुलिस वर्दी में मार रहे हैं, उनको पहचानना भी बड़ा मुश्किल है। ये उन्होंने ये शुरुआत कर दी है इस तरह की। एक बात और है, कहा जा रहा है कि 75,000 तीर्थयात्रियों के जाने का बंदोबस्त था, लेकिन 1.5 लाख यात्री पहुंच गए वहाँ। और जो सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेज हैं या जो वहाँ का सेटअप है वो उनको मैनेज नहीं कर पा रहा। कहते हैं कि गुजरात, राजस्थान, हरियाणा की राज्य सरकारें इस मामले में कोई पाबंदी नहीं लगा रही, धड़ाधड़ पर्ची काट रही और लोग वहाँ पे पहुँच रहे हैं या उनको भेज रहे हैं या दबाव वहाँ पे दिए जा रहे हैं। तो ये लोगों को भी रोकना चाहिए कि, और जम्मू कश्मीर सरकार को भी कोशिश करनी चाहिए कि सबको जम्मू से वापस कर दें। इसमें कोई किसी का ये नहीं होगा कि शंकर जी नाराज हो जाएंगे। जो जब आप मैनेज नहीं कर सकते, लोग मर रहे हैं, तो वहाँ पे लोगों को पहुँचा के वहाँ पे ले जाना सबसे ज़्यादा खतरनाक। जितने लोग आप आसानी से ले जा सकते हो उनको लेके जाए, बाकी लोगों को ले जाने की आवश्यकता नहीं। ये 2 बातें मैं रखनी चाहिए।
मिर्ज़ा अब्दुल रशीद।
मौजू पे बहस हो रही है। हमें खुशी है कि इस मुक़द्दस हाउस में सच्चाई कितनी भी गहराई में दबी जाए उसको सामने लाने के लिए बड़े जतन किए जाते हैं और इसी से हमारे मुल्क की जमहूरियत की बका भी है और उसकी ज़िंदगी भी। इससे पहले कि मैं आज के इस मौजू पे 2 बातें करूं, यहाँ हमारे बड़े सीनियर लीडर साहिबान जब बात करते हैं तो मैं एक अदना सा वर्कर होने के नाते से उनसे अपील करूंगा कि बांग्लादेश बनने के बाद, शिमला समझौता होने के बाद इंटरनेशनल लेवल की पुरानी बातों को छेड़ना, गड़े मुर्दे उखाड़ना, ये मुनासिब नहीं रहेगा। क्योंकि सदर क्लिंटन जब यहाँ तशरीफ़ लाए थे, उन्होंने भी अपने सवाल के जवाब में ये कहा था कि प्लेबिसाइट किस्म के नारे जो थे ये आउटडेटेड स्लोगन्स हैं, तो इसलिए क्या ही अच्छा हो कि उससे पहले वो बातें ना छेड़ी जाएं, वरना यही बातें जो यहाँ छिड़ती हैं हमें फील्ड में मोटिवेट करने में वहाँ दिक्कत आती। दूसरी बात जो मैं यहाँ अर्ज़ करना चाहता हूँ, तू फ़कत देखता है साहिल से रज़्म खैर व शर, कौन तूफ़ान के तमाचे खा रहा है मैं कि तू। सभी साथी, सभी लोग दूर से तमाशा देखते हैं, लेकिन अमली तौर पर कौन इस कत्ल गारत और इस आग में जल रहा है, वो कश्मीर जल रहा है, जम्मू कश्मीर जल रहा है। इसमें कोई शक नहीं कि पिछले 11 साल से वहाँ प्रॉक्सी वार चल रही है और ख़ासकर 4 साल से डॉक्टर फारूक साहब जो वहाँ के चीफ मिनिस्टर हैं, उन्होंने 2/3 मेजॉरिटी हासिल करने के बाद वो ISI से मुकाबला करते हैं, पाकिस्तान की साजिशों से मुकाबला करते हैं, क्रॉस बॉर्डर टेररिज्म से वहाँ जो सिविल वर्दी में पाक आर्मी आती है उससे लड़ाई लड़ते हैं। हत्ता कि जब करगिल की जंग होती है तो उसमें वीर और महावीर जब कुर्बानी देते हैं तो उनको जलाते हैं, जो शहीद होते हैं तो उनको दफनाते हैं, जम्मू के मंदिरों में भारत का गीत गाते हैं और UN और जुनेवा में जाकर डॉक्टर फारूक साहब बेनज़ीर और नवाज़ शरीफ को मुंह पर कहते हैं दुनिया सारी के सामने कि तुमने आग लगाई है जम्मू कश्मीर में। तो ऐसा शख्स जो इस वक्त भी वहाँ जंग लड़ रहा है मिलिटेंसी के ख़िलाफ़, अगर उन्होंने हाई लेवल कमीशन मुकर्रर किया है तो मैं हाउस से अपील करूँगा कि उस कमीशन का रिज़ल्ट लाने के बाद अगर हाउस मुतमय्यन ना हो तो तो हाउस को ये हक है कि ये कोई जुडिशियल इंक्वायरी या कोई भी इंक्वायरी करना चाहें तो कर सकते हैं। लेकिन अब चूंकि उन्होंने अनाउंस किया है हाई लेवल कमीशन, और इस वक्त अगर वहाँ कोई दूसरा कमीशन मुकर्रर किया जाए तो एक तो आर्टिकल 370 के लिहाज से डिसरिगार्ड होगा। उसके लिए मैं एक ही बात करना चाहूँगा कि डॉक्टर फारूक साहब ने कहा था कि हमें ऑटोनॉमी रिस्टोर करो। ऑटोनॉमी रिस्टोर करने के सिलसिले में जब मौका आएगा हम तफसीलन बात करेंगे, लेकिन उनकी तरफ से मैं ये कहता हूँ कि यही तो कहा था मैंने कि मेरी आंख देखती है, यही तो कहा था मैंने कि मेरी आंख देखती है कि मुझ पर टूट पड़ा सारा शहर नाबीना। कि जब उन्होंने वो बात की तो देश के बहुत सारे बुजुर्गों ने, लीडरों ने, लोगों ने उनको छोड़ के जो हमारा मीडिया है वो तो ऐसे टूट पड़ा जैसे वहाँ करगिल की जंग जारी है। तो सच बात तो ये है कि आर्टिकल 370 जो हमारी हिंदुस्तान की कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का हिस्सा है, उसके तहत अगर फारूक साहब को ये हक है कि वहाँ वो कमीशन मुकर्रर करे, तो कम से कम ये बची खची जो वहाँ पे ऑटोनॉमी है, जो बचे खचे इख्तियारात तो हैं, उनका इस्तेमाल तो करने
मोबाइल लाए हैं अपना स्विच ऑफ करें,
उसका इस्तेमाल तो करने दीजिए। तो इसलिए जो इस वक्त उन्होंने हाई लेवल कमीशन मुकर्रर किया है, उसका रिजल्ट आने तक मैं अपील करूंगा कि उसका रिजल्ट आने तक उस कमीशन की रिपोर्ट को देख लें, जैसे कि हमारे लीडर ऑफ द हाउस ने फरमाया है, और उसके बाद अगर कोई गुंजाइश ऐसी आती है तो उसको देख लेंगे। और मैं ये यूँ कहूँगा कि अगर ऐसा ना हुआ तो ये इत्मीनान जो है, ये बेभरोसा जो है, या आपस में ये गुस्सा जो है, ये जो 1953 के बाद शुरू हुआ है, ये इसी के ऑफशूट्स तो सारे हैं, और यही रूप लेते हैं कि आज ये सारा मुल्क जल रहा है सिर्फ कश्मीर की वजह से। तो मैं ज़्यादा वक्त ना लेते हुए इतनी बात कहूँगा कि डॉक्टर फारूक साहब ने जो हाई लेवल कमीशन मुकर्रर किया है उसका रिजल्ट आने तक इंतज़ार किया जाए। अगर वो मुतमईन नहीं होंगे तो हाउस को हक है कि वो जुडिशल कमीशन बनाए, जो मर्जी करे, क्योंकि इस वक्त वहाँ पीस टॉक्स चल रही हैं। तो मैं जो हिज़्बुल मुजाहिदीन वाले हमारे दोस्त रीथिंक करने जा रहे हैं महात्मा गांधी की तरफ से और उनकी आत्मा की तरफ से और शेर कश्मीर की रूह की तरफ से, मैं उनसे अपील करते हुए एक बात कहना चाहता हूँ उनसे, जो हिज़्बुल मुजाहिदीन वाले हैं, कि तुम्हारी शरपसंदी से जले हैं कितने घर देखो, कटे हैं कितने सर, इसका तुम्हें एहसास क्या होगा। बहाओ खून सड़कों पर मगर इतना ज़रा सोचो, वतन जब खून मांगेगा तुम्हारे पास क्या होगा। थैंक यू।
श्री अरुण जेटली।
Vice Chairman, sir. So this issue of immense importance we have been discussing for several hours since today morning, and also discussing it at a very important moment when a very serious effort is being made to give peace a chance in Kashmir. One thing which is very clear, and I must say with a sense of pride as a member of this House, that though there have been different perceptions on certain issues, it is absolutely clear to me as a member that each one of those who have spoken in the last few hours has the interest of this country foremost in his heart. Each one also has made it clear that irrespective of the different perceptions, their desire is that our security forces and different agencies must be strengthened rather than scarred. And therefore, the attitude of each really has to be in that direction. Sir, the Prime Minister, on 2 occasions in the last few days, after making a detailed statement, also as his response to the various issues which were raised, has spoken on this issue at length. And normally, after a debate which continued for almost a large part of one day and spilled over to the next, there was no real necessity for this issue coming up again today, but for certain reports that appeared in a section of the newspapers. We have a very independent press. We are all proud of its independence, and I give them the full right to write what they really desire to write. But every national agenda cannot really be dictated on basis of a news item here or a news item there. The only difference which has taken place between yesterday and today is really some news item in a few newspapers. And I was sitting in this house when the debate was going on, going through the news item, and if I just read 2 sentences from it, it is just possible that the militants managed to kill 33 people through indiscriminate firing. But a plausible theory is that the Poniwalas died during the cross-firing from the CRPF in the bunker set up in the adjoining Rocky Trail. Now, I really don't know as to whether this is news, whether this is based on an analysis, or whether it is really a kind of an analysis that some writer exercising his freedom to write has been exercising. But then we must also remember, as the senior member from the Congress party has very rightly said, Shri Arjun Singh Ji, that we must not play with fundamentals. When he says that we must not play with fundamentals, we must also keep in mind that there are several occasions, very challenging ones in the life of a nation, where we may have to rise above partisan attitudes. We will have to think in terms of institutions. Ghulam Nabi ji said, why do we think we are so weak that some Pakistani propaganda on PTV can really shake us? I agree with you. Any propaganda on PTV or any article in any newspaper really cannot unshake our resolve. But at the same time, when you are so confident, and so are we, that we are not weak, it is precisely because we are not weak that the outcome of Kargil eventually was what it was. The truth did come out. But let us also have the confidence that the systems in our country are also not unfair. And the agenda for our systems really does not have to be dictated by the Pakistani press or the Pakistani television. I remember, sir, a very similar debate taking place towards the end of the Kargil conflict. The government at that time appointed the Subramaniam Committee. And now that we have the facts behind us, the report of the Subramaniam Committee did come. It was a committee of experts. It went into every aspect of the matter. It gave its report. And as the Prime Minister said yesterday, the report was made public. The action taken was announced. And various institutional checks and balances, introspections are going on within the various institutions on the strength of that report. But let us go back to the day when the Subramaniam Committee was announced. Precisely the arguments which are being raised today had been raised by some of our friends even at that time. I distinctly remember answering, why have you appointed a Subramaniam Committee and not a Commission of Inquiry under the Commission of Inquiries Act? How will the cross-examinations take place? How will the witnesses come and depose? Is it a cover-up operation by the government? Precisely the issues which you have raised today, sir, which some of the members have raised, were raised even at that time. But now we have 8 to 10 months of history behind us, the manner in which that committee functioned, the expeditious manner in which it unearthed all the facts. It pointed out to our areas of strength, areas where we could have done better, and the challenges for the future. Today, you raised, Mr. Azad, 3 questions. And you said, people will say that since there is a default purportedly mentioned by somebody in the state government, how can you have the same state government officers being a part of this inquiry committee? Yes, indeed I have. Yes, indeed I have. But that statement adds to the fairness of our process that we appointed a chairman who during the committee and after the committee has full freedom to give his views. And that negates what Mr. Azad had said, that when you appoint these committees, you want to appoint people who will not, their public confidence will not be there merely because an officer of the state government is associated. You may have officers of the armed forces associated. You may have officers of the state police associated. But that is no reflection on any bias of a committee of this kind. After all, the systems as they exist in our country, what would an inquiry into the Amarnath Yatra episode really unravel? How did this whole incident take place? What were the security steps taken? What are the challenges required for the future? What are the improvements required to be kept in mind in the future? Now, these are all findings which will come out of this committee which has been appointed. The government and various institutions, departments will have an opportunity to go through them. But merely because you have from the armed forces, the police and other departments somebody associated, really should not shake your belief that our systems are unfair and therefore nobody really will have confidence in a report of this particular kind. You mentioned, sir, and I must give the illustration, and I repeat the illustration that we've gone through such an experience once, and there is no reason why when such recommendations do come, those responsible in the government certainly will take all steps in that particular direction. I must mention that introspection is a positive exercise. Inquiry into important events when they take place, however unfortunate they are, is a very important exercise. It gives you an opportunity to realize where improvements are required, where strengths are required. It gives you an opportunity to analyze, did something go wrong somewhere? What are the steps required to be undertaken in future? But this exercise, in every case, need not necessarily be an exercise of a judicial inquiry. When we speak in terms of a judicial inquiry, let us just see the manner in which the debate has tended to change in the last few hours or 1 or 2 days. It's a great tragedy. Somebody from across the border organizes these attacks. Pahalgam is one incident. There are several other incidents. More than 100 innocents lose their lives. It's a great challenge for our country to stand up as one, take steps and make sure that these incidents are not repeated in future. We are trying to go through a peace process. Somebody is trying to scuttle that peace process. When somebody is trying to scuttle that peace process, should we now act in panic and start saying, or start kneeling before a propaganda that maybe your own security forces have erred? The moment we start this exercise, let me tell you, it would be music to the ears of those who are ill-disposed towards this country. Therefore, an exercise which is being suggested, the only difference which has taken place is that some news items which say maybe the militants have killed them, but maybe the other possibility also does exist. I really do not know whether I can call it a news item at all. It's more like a badly written judgment of a court. When a judge is not able to make up a mind, he probabilizes both the theories and then says, well, something more requires to be done in this matter. This is precisely what I read the news item says. Please.
Do you consider what the defense minister spoke on camera also in the category of this kind of report?
Well, I certainly did hear the defense minister on camera, and I have also read his statement today. The defense minister has said nothing of the kind either on camera, and which he has also categorically denied. And therefore, to merely say that the defense minister had something, if he has said something on camera, certainly the camera tapes would be available on any private channel also. Mr. Vice Chairman, sir, we've been going through a debate. Some legal issues also came up, whether it is within the jurisdiction of the center or the state government. Such issues certainly do arise. Many honorable members, Mr. Sibal yesterday spoke, Mr. R.K. Anand, Mr. Fali Nariman, Dr. Singhvi, all very eminent and senior lawyers have given their views on the subject. But the issue is not one of legalisms. The issue is one of far more significant repercussions. We want to know what are the steps we can take to prevent such recurrence in future. What are the safeguards for the Amarnath Yatra in future? Have we at any stage gone wrong in the recent past? Is there anybody who has not performed his responsibility? What were the steps? And the country must know the steps which had already been taken, the positive steps, even in the past. Speed is the essence of such inquiries. Now, if speed is the essence of such inquiries, it is but obvious that an inquiry of the kind which has already been ordered is an inquiry which can be of an expeditious disposal. It's an inquiry which can come out with its findings and observations quite expeditiously. And I must also, in this regard, in light of this attempt at least being made to change the focus, the attempted change of focus is not that there is a terrorism sponsored by our neighbor, people cross the border, training takes place, innocents are killed. What are the methods we must deploy to save them? Before a judicial inquiry, obviously there is a focus, and that is what the news item itself says. And I say this with a sense of regret. Because a possibility exists that CRPF may have been involved, therefore have a judicial inquiry. That's the whole rationale of the story. It says so in so many words. And therefore, if the purpose of the judicial inquiry is that those who are indulging in a proxy war use it as a forum to further their tactics, to demoralize and discredit our security forces, then certainly we must think twice before undertaking a process which is really not going to enable any expeditious finding of all the facts. The administrative inquiry is sufficient for that particular purpose. On the contrary, it is going to be used as a forum for collateral purpose, as the news item which started the debate today itself indicates. It's an exercise which will be counterproductive. Shri Arjun Singh ji said that we must not play with fundamentals. And one of the fundamentals in this country has always been that at the time of the proxy war, even at the time of the wars, the whole country stands one, that nothing must be done to start hair-splitting and finding faults with the security forces which are really making all the sacrifices with the country. If there are, in the past also, if there have been human rights violations, we have our domestic machinery which goes into this. We have our legislative setups which go into this. We have created the human rights commissions. We have created other institutions which go into this question. Our mechanisms are strong enough. But merely because some of us at some stage have felt that a judicial inquiry is the demand of the day, well, we may have felt that, but I am sure that when you say that you are a party with 115 years of legacy, you indeed are, then political statesmanship today really requires that we do not stand by issues which we picked up and then realize that these could be counterproductive. Even now it is not too late. Seeing the overall debate and seeing that a larger cross-section of this House certainly wants to know the facts but does not favor a judicial inquiry, I am sure my friends on the other side would also yield to this larger opinion in this House, which is reflective of a larger opinion in this country, and not persist with a demand which really will lead us to nowhere. Thank you, sir.
Shri Kapil Sibal. Shri Kapil Sibal.
I didn't want to interrupt you a second time, but the fundamentals which you referred to in my name are not the fundamentals which you have interpreted.
Sir, I may specify when I refer to fundamentals, I didn't want to elaborate.
I don't think that we need to carry this. I have been called
upon. Since you have raised it, Mr. Chairman, may I just explain?
My debate.
Okay. This was, the fundamentals I had in mind was very clear. I am a very new member, as against Shri Arjun Singh ji. The fundamentals I had in mind was, in issues of moment for a country when we face a situation of this kind, we at least try to keep partisan attitudes and partisan issues away. And I say this with a sense of regret by saying that the country is getting divided and so on. It was not a service we were doing to anybody.
Shri Kapil Sibal.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman, for giving me this opportunity to participate in this debate. I have listened with rapt attention to the various views expressed by honorable members of this House. And I'm sorry to say that on some occasions we have been digressing away from the core of the issue, that is before this House. And at one level, there is an element of unanimity between those who have expressed one view and those who have expressed another view. For the Treasury benches and those who are part of the NDA and others feel that the Commission of Inquiry or the inquiry that has been set up under the General Officer commanding of the Unified Command, including the Deputy Commissioner and the Home Secretary, is focused to find out the truth. So obviously, I do not doubt the intent of the government in setting up this inquiry to find out the truth. And to that extent, there is unanimity because we too, from this end, have made a call for a judicial inquiry also for the same purpose. We too want to find out the truth. So there is no disagreement on that. The issue is what is the mode? The issue is how? The issue is public confidence. The issue is will this serve the purpose? Now, the fact is that Kashmir has been burning. Right from 1998, ever since an honorable minister of this government said that we must have a proactive policy towards Kashmir. That very minister, in fact, made a public statement and told this House that we will, in fact, issue a white paper on ISI activities in India, including Kashmir. And we've been noticing, the people in this country have been noticing, the levels of terrorism moving higher and higher. More and more people, innocent people, are getting massacred. And we've also been seeing, in tandem, that activities of other countries have been showing more and more interest in the affairs of Kashmir. And therefore the nation is concerned, and I don't blame any political party. The nation is concerned as what is going to be, what's going to happen, what is going to be our fate. And it is seldom that in the history of a nation, 100 people get killed on one day. I don't want to blame anybody. I don't think my party wants to blame anybody. And let it be said and stated last, without demur, we do not want to blame any security forces. The gravamen of our inquiry is not to blame the defense forces of this country or the security forces of this country. The gravamen of our inquiry is, how is it that terrorist activity in the last several years and recently in the last few months has reached such a pitch that an enemy across the border dares to kill 100 people and 100 honest, innocent citizens of our country. And that's really the purpose of this inquiry. I do not agree with the Honorable Minister when he said that we on this side want to discredit the security forces. When have we said that? I do not agree with my learned friend when he says that we want to find fault with our security forces. No. We only mentioned that there are some newspaper reports. They may be true, they may be false. Every day newspaper reports are bandied about in this House. Honorable members from that side and this side wave newspapers on a daily basis to raise matters of importance. We never say, let's not look at the newspaper. The fact of the matter is the press in our country is free. They are free to investigate. They are free to find out what they perceive to be the truth. It may not be the truth, sir, but they are free to find that out. It's not only newspaper reports, it's also the electronic media. And they have done yeoman service in the past. I don't think the intent of the newspaper report was to criticize the government. The intent was that this is the perception of the people of our country. This is the perception of those who have investigated those matters, and it concerns us. It's very strange that on the one hand, in a democracy, newspaper reports can publish what their perceptions are, and in this House, which is the essence, which represents the essence of democracy, can't debate it. We do not want that the security forces to be put in the dock, but we certainly want that the truth must come out. Sir, in fact, you will see in the weeks to come, these newspaper reports, there will be reports in magazines. There will be reports by outside agencies. You know how outside agencies are working against India and Kashmir. Take Amnesty International. Take Human Rights Watch. These are agencies which are going to give out reports which will be anti-India. Now, in order to quell doubts, what is the safest way out for the government of India? The safest way out is to tell the international community, we ourselves have ordered a judicial inquiry. What better course would there be for you to be able to tell the rest of the world, look at the fairness of our system of inquiry. We have appointed a sitting judge of a court. Whether it's done by the state government or the central government is a legal question, and I'll leave the legalese out. But the fact of the matter is that was the safest course for this government to have adopted. I'm sorry to say that they have not chosen that course, and in the process, we will get flack not only from within the country, but also outside the country. The Honorable Minister mentioned that such inquiries have happened in the recent past. He gave the example, Mr. Vice Chairman, of Kargil. And he said, see, the Subramaniam Committee has given its report, and see the kind of objections that some members of the opposition raised earlier. The same issues that are being raised today were raised earlier. Well, what happened to the Subramaniam Committee report, sir? Mr. Vice Chairman, let me say this. Despite the Subramaniam Committee report, which was an in-house report, Mr. Subramaniam has on record stated today that the government should in fact place on the table of the House documents which the government has withheld. Now, what does it show? It shows the attitude of this government. If you are so open about it, why did you not place all the documents in respect of the Subramaniam report on the table of this House? That very Mr. Subramaniam has said, why is the government wanting not to place those documents? And this, therefore, in fact proves what we've been saying all along, that if you do not have a transparent, open inquiry through a process which earns the confidence of the public, you are going to have doubts on what happened, and therefore you will not be protecting the security forces. In fact, you'll be doing something against the interest of those very security forces that you are trying to protect. In fact, I am very, very happy to note not only the Honourable Minister, but an Honourable Member from the Treasury benches, Dr. Singhvi, has made a very candid statement here. Dr. Singhvi said that there was in Kashmir, in respect of the recent incidents, a concerted, and I quote, a concerted plan of people who are hostile to us. And the Honourable Minister said, and I quote, somebody across the border organizes these attacks. We agree with you, sir. Mr. Vice Chairman, we agree. It is somebody across the border which is on a daily basis organizing these attacks. We want to find out why is it that our defenses are not succeeding? Why is it that they are allowed to attack innocent people of this country and we've not been able to rebut these attacks? If there are some reports that in one area there were two militants and 33 people were killed. There are only 2 militants and 33 people were killed. That some reports say that. Now the question is, if we had prior knowledge, why were we not able to stall this? Why were we not be able to deal with this? I don't say it is the fault of the security forces. But we must find out whose fault it is. We must find out why are the arrangements not foolproof so that innocent victims are protected from this kind of onslaught. Having said that, Mr. Vice Chairman, there is another point that I want to touch upon, which is of significance. Sir, this is a debate in which we all are one, and I agree with some of the members of the other side who said that we must rise above partisan politics because this affects the security of the country, and we must in fact put up a united front to the rest of the world, and there is no doubt that all of us are united in this. But where does the problem lie, sir? The problem lies that whenever the Congress party raises an issue which it believes to be of some significance, there is immediately a tirade against the Congress party, not only within Parliament but outside Parliament. And what is said to us? That, look, we are supporting Pakistan. If we question this government on any issue which either relates to Kashmir or the security of this country, an allegation is made against us that, look, you are trying to, in fact, support people outside the country. Now, let me, sir, I did not interfere, I did not interrupt anybody. Let me please complete my point of view. Mr. Vice Chairman, through you, I request honorable members of this House. Now, sir, this is very unfortunate because what happens in the process is you vitiate the atmosphere. We are in this House together to resolve an issue of national significance, and we want to work with the Treasury benches on this. But if you start alleging, and very, very senior ministers have made these statements outside the House, if you start alleging that the Congress party is playing into the hands of the enemy and that the Congress party is supporting outside elements, what is the message that you are sending? And what is the politics that you are playing? Is this politics or not? This is what vitiates the atmosphere. And this is why I say, if you were to stop doing that, and if you were to come to this House for the purposes of actually cooperating, and we indeed want to do so with the Treasury benches, then this kind of atmosphere, dehors this atmosphere, we'll be able to do something together for this country, and we'll be able to avoid. This is one point I wish to make, because neither of us, and I think Dr. Singhvi was right, that these kind of issues should not be raised in this House. And I find every time this happens, the whole atmosphere gets vitiated. Then, sir, the other point that I wish to make is, honorable members of this House have said that, look, there is an inquiry on, and we should wait for the results of that inquiry to find out whether or not there should be a judicial inquiry. And the Honorable Minister, Mr. Vice Chairman, really said that the Congress party should not have asked for a judicial commission on this regard under the Commission of Inquiries Act. The real problem, Mr. Vice Chairman, arose because the Honorable Leader of the House yesterday got up and made a statement, solemnly made a statement, that the setting up of a Commission of Inquiry by the central government was unconstitutional. Now, had he not said that, this problem would not have arisen, because we would not have got up to justify our position, namely that this is an incorrect statement of law. Then we were told the reason why this cannot happen is because under the Commission of Inquiries Act, the Commission of Inquiries Act applies only to such laws in which the central government can make a law respecting items in List 1 and List 3. And in respect of any item in List 2, the central government is not entitled to make a law, and therefore the central government cannot set up a commission of inquiry in respect of any of those items. Now, entry 1 of List 2 talks of public order, and the contention raised was that this matter relates to public order and therefore is a state subject, and being a state subject, the central government under the Commission of Inquiries Act cannot set up a commission. Now, that is belied by the statement of the Honorable Minister in this House when he says that what happened in Kashmir, and I quoted him earlier and I'm quoting him again, he says, quote, somebody across the border organizes these attacks. And Dr. Singhvi said there was a concerted plan of people who are hostile to us. So obviously it is their own case that this is not a matter with respect to public order within Kashmir. It is a matter which relates to terrorism and the spread of terrorism from across the border. Now, there is the Jammu and Kashmir order, and I will just sort of disabuse my learned friends of this misconception. There is a 1954, and I'll read it, the Constitution Application to Jammu and Kashmir Order of 1954, in which Article 248 of the Constitution of the Government of the Indian Constitution says, Parliament has exclusive power to make any law with respect to prevention of activities involving terrorist acts directed towards overawing the government as by law established. So, under the 1954 Jammu and Kashmir order, Parliament has exclusive right to make laws preventing the activities involving terrorist acts directed towards overawing the government. So obviously, therefore, Parliament has exclusive right to set up a commission inquiry in respect of this subject, for you yourself say that these are acts of terrorism from across the border. To say, therefore, and for the Leader of the House to say that we have no power under the Constitution to set up the commission of inquiry is not to look at the laws that are staring at your face. Not only that, sir, there is an entry 97 which is also part of this order. And may I just state it before you. Entry 97 has been amended as applicable to Jammu and Kashmir. And it says, prevention of activities, and I'm reading entry 97, involving terrorist acts directed towards overawing the government as by law established. So both under entry 97 and under Article 248 of the Constitution, it is Parliament which is the exclusive right to set up a commission of inquiry in respect of any of those matters. Now, you may say, sir, that notwithstanding the law, we do not think that it is ripe or appropriate at this point in time to set up a commission of inquiry because we are walking on razor's edge. And therefore, it may not be good for the country. You may have that perception, sir, and you are entitled to that perception. And that may be your argument for not setting up a commission of inquiry. But, sir, we have a different point of view. And we are trying to place that point of view before the people of this country. And through you, Mr. Vice Chairman, I do not think that you have the right to question both our integrity and our patriotism. In no way are we less patriotic than any of you. In no way will we balk when our country and its security is threatened. And I do not talk only of the Congress party. I talk of every political party that is represented in this House. So please don't bring a level of intolerance into this House. For if you do that, we will never be able to have a dispassionate debate for the good of this country. Thank you very much.
Now, Leader of the House to respond.
Mr. Vice Chairman, sir, it is a matter of some disappointment to me that Honorable Pranab Mukherjee, who had initiated this discussion, is currently not here because he had advised all of us that the viewpoints, particularly his viewpoints and of his party, be heard in advocacy of why there should be a judicial inquiry. I had even at the very beginning said that the government is not averse to a discussion, any discussion, at any time. Inevitably, sir, because given the nature of the subject, the discussion was not limited to the aspect of the Congress party or other parties' views why there should be a judicial inquiry. Honourable members ranged far and wide and said many things. It is not necessary for me to respond to all the many things. The central question, advocacy of a judicial inquiry into the matter, many learned practitioners of law have cited various aspects of law. I had occasion even yesterday to submit, sir, this House makes laws. We do not discuss issues here as we do in chambers of law. But honourable members are free to put across their viewpoints as they like. And indeed, those who have concentrated on the legal aspects are doing so because that is their persuasion, that is perhaps also their specialization. Very good luck to them, sir. May they prosper.
Please, yes.
I do wish to submit, sir, that insofar, let me just very briefly put across the essence of it. there appears to be an intermingling of cause and effect. The cause of what took place, be it Pahalgam or Kupwara or other areas of Jammu, the cause is cross-border terrorism, promoted, encouraged, inspired, aided, abetted, financed, and continues to be supported by forces inimical to India, outside of India, and it is something that Pakistan has continued to do. To establish the cause, a judicial inquiry is not needed. I am astonished at the intermingling of cause and effect. We do not need a judicial inquiry to establish the causes that encourage this terroristic activity, not simply in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, but also in other parts of India. We are engaged with the effect of it. Certainly, honorable members are well within their rights. Now, in future, subsequently, not simply honorable members here, indeed any citizen, including members of the Fourth Estate, are free to find fault with the government, criticize the government, and point out that this is where the government has failed, but only with the effect of it. It is the government's judgment that where the incident has taken place, and I do not wish to go, sir, here, that where the incident has taken place, the best manner of establishing what happened is through an inquiry commissioned by the state government as constituted, as they have already announced. I did approach this whole discussion, sir, with a view to being enlightened by my distinguished friends from the Congress party and others as to why the government should change its mind and do as they advocate. I do not wish to enter into any competitive boastfulness about our concern for security forces. My gallant friend, General Shankar Roy Chaudhary, and I were cadets together when we started our life as fledgling soldiers. I do not have the distinction of Maharaj Sahab of Kashmir to hold an honorary rank of Major General, but I did also, going through the ranks, as it were, of cadetship, achieve some familiarity, not simply familiarity, but also some degree of attachment. Therefore, it is not a question, sir. I do commend the House to pay heed to what he said, that when you engage in such activities, and he says it, we were cadets together. He says it because I wandered into this world and he rose to be the Chief of Army Staff, and he says it with the responsibility of his office that it does have an effect on the morale of the security forces. Pay heed to it if you will. If you do not, it is your right not to. I do wish to make just one other observation, sir. Very senior member of the Congress party, whom I hold in very high regard. He brings to his public office years of experience in various positions of government. He suggested that I specialize in backtrack diplomacy. नहीं, उन्होंने फरमाया कि मैं बैक ट्रैक डिप्लोमेसी में महारत रखता हूँ। मैं वास्तव में नहीं समझ पाया कि वो बैक ट्रैक से उनका क्या अर्थ है, परंतु ये सही बात है उपाध्यक्ष जी की स्वभाव और अनुभव के आधार पर ही तो माननीय सदस्य अपनी बात कहेंगे। तो जैसा स्वभाव और अनुभव से कैसे परा उठे जा सकता है। मैं सुना नहीं, आप मैं बैठे जाता हूँ, आपको अगर चुभी बात आपने मुझे कहा कि मैं बैक ट्रैक डिप्लोमेसी में महारत रखता हूँ। मैं विश्वास दिला दूँ, आप मुझसे उम्र में भी बड़े, हर हिसाब में बड़े हैं। बैक ट्रैक मैं समझा नहीं, शायद आपकी महारत हो। जिंदगी भर आपने सियासती बैक ट्रैक किया है, तो हो सकता है कि आप उस स्वभाव से परे नहीं उठ पाए, परंतु खैर वो छूट गई बात। ये भी सही है, ये सही बात है, ये सियासती बहस थी, तो स्वभाव के अनुसार आपने अपनी बात रखी, कुछ हमारे सदस्यों ने अपनी बात रखी। देखिए, it is in the nature of the challenge that we face as a nation that issues relating to the state of Jammu and Kashmir should generate the highest possible concern and heat. Pakistan has been given to saying that Jammu and Kashmir is the core issue between India and Pakistan. The present Chief Executive, General Parvez Musharraf Sahab, is also given to repeating this line. I made clear on behalf of the government in the UN General Assembly in September of '99, and have since repeated often, Jammu and Kashmir is not either a territorial dispute with Pakistan, nor is it a core issue between India and Pakistan. Jammu and Kashmir is at the core of Indian nationhood. And what is at the core of Indian nationhood, it will certainly generate passion, and it will generate the kind of discussion that we have had. It is, I would have liked very much to have acceded to my distinguished friends from the Congress and their repeated advocacy of a judicial inquiry. I regret I am not able to do so, sir. Government has taken a position. The state government has ordered an inquiry. I believe that for the good of Jammu and Kashmir, for the good of establishing what actually happened, and to enable the people of Jammu Kashmir, आपने शायद फरमाया था और बहुत अच्छे लफ्ज़ों में फरमाया, we will only debate here, but the heat will be felt by those that live there. So therefore, sir, after having examined all aspects of it on behalf of the government, I do, with due regard to the views expressed by everybody, regret that we cannot accept the Congress Party's suggestion that a judicial inquiry be ordered. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, sir, I have listened with great attention what the Honourable Leader of the House had to say. I agree with him that cross-border terrorism, aided, abetted, inspired from Pakistan, is at the root of the troubles in Jammu and Kashmir. Sir, that is not the issue. The issue is that we all knew that once the peace process gets going, there will be trouble of this sort. The Honourable Prime Minister himself mentioned that intelligence had given warnings to this effect, that there could be trouble. And naturally, the public at large, as well as the House, is entitled to know if there were such warnings from the intelligence agencies, what precautions were taken by the government to take care that no such untoward incidents take place. That is a legitimate demand of this House and the public at large, and the government cannot put this issue under the carpet. Sir, yet another issue was raised by my colleague, Shri Pranab Mukherjee. He pointed out that as early as 1996, the then Home Minister had commissioned a report. This report has been mentioned in the newspapers. We have not seen what are its contents, but we were told that report had made several recommendations with regard to the protections of pilgrims who might be going for the yatra of the sacred Amarnath Shrine. Has that report been implemented? If not implemented, why it has not been implemented? Have there been any gaps in the process of implementation of that report? This again is a legitimate issue, and what the Honorable Leader of the House or the Honorable Law Minister have told us, they have not thrown any light on this issue as well. Then there is this other questions, related questions about what type of inquiry. We have heard the pros and cons. We know that the government is not inclined to order a judicial inquiry. But sir, I submit to them in all sincerities that our country's fair name demands that we should be transparent to the utmost extent in dealing with these charges, however malicious they might be, that some elements of the CRP might have inadvertently done what has been attributed in the newspapers. I do not subscribe myself to this charge. This charge has been made in the newspapers, and as my colleagues have pointed out, this will be repeated, and the best way to stop this nonsense is to order an inquiry which will inspire confidence internally as well as in the rest of the world. For all these reasons, I feel the Honorable Leader of the House has not been able to convince us that there is no case for a judicial inquiry. I have heard the legal luminaries, Dr. Singhvi, Mr. Anand, Mr. Nariman. I don't think they have questioned the competence of the central government to order a judicial inquiry. As I understood them, they said not now, but maybe later on. So therefore, this question of jurisdiction, I think, which the Honorable Leader of the House mentioned yesterday, I think I submit to him that when I heard Dr. Singhvi, Mr. Anand, and also Honorable Mr. Nariman, I think they did not endorse the argument that this is an issue outside the competence of the central government. For all these reasons, I feel very sorry, I think, that the government in their wisdom have found it fit to reject our demand. We on our part cannot accept this situation. We will continue to press for a fair inquiry, which we believe a judicial inquiry is the only answer to this problem, and therefore as a protest we walk out of this house.
चूंकि बहुत महत्वपूर्ण बिल पर चर्चा होना है, मध्य प्रदेश रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन बिल 2000 और एक मेजर पॉलिटिकल पार्टी ने वर्कआउट किया है, तो मैं सोचता हूं कि इस महत्वपूर्ण बिल पर चर्चा कल करें और इस मामले में आपका जो मत है वो भी आप व्यक्त कर दिए, वरना हम अभी करते हैं।
As the chairman has rightly pointed out, Vice Chairman has rightly pointed out, this is a very important piece of legislation. In the absence of the major party, Congress party, it will be better that we have it tomorrow.
ठीक है, सदन 2000 को 11 बजे तक के लिए स्थगित की जाती है।